I know what a lot of you are thinking about this Week 0 game. Come on. This is a dumb decision. The decision by Kansas State to go for it inside their own 30-yard line with about 10 minutes to go in the game, and a 3-point game nonetheless. You get the first down, and you still need to go a long way to tie it up. You don't get it, and Iowa State is starting the drive in field goal range already. It's high risk, low reward, and feels way too early. However, even though I would not have done it, I do understand it. That is defensible. Your defense had been playing like crap as of late, and Iowa State had not only been dominating the time of possession lately, keeping your defense on the field and making it important that your offense gives them a bit of a breather, but they ended the second half scoring at will and moving the ball down the field at will. At the very least, for one measly yard, might as well go for it and extend the drive, and even if you get nothing else out of it, at least your defense can rest a little bit longer. I wouldn't have done it, as I would have punted in that spot, so it's not an episode of in defense of. But when I said that there was a dumb decision from this game that looked bad right away and not just in hindsight, it wasn't this. It was this. All right, so you just got to stop here. Iowa State's going to get the ball back. You've got all your timeouts, so take one here and force the punt and see if you can work some magic before the halftime break. And, Coach, you gonna call a timeout there? You gonna do something besides just soak in the Irish scenery? Okay. I mean, I don't know why you do that, especially because now Kansas State can either line up for a field goal or a conversion attempt with no real risk due to the fact that field position is irrelevant if you get the ball back because you have no time to work with, but whatever. It was a sloppy half, and you just want to take it in. Kansas State's going to punt it away, so just let it go and take a knee and get out of here. And why do you have a guy back there by the goal line to field this punt for the love of all things St. Patrick's Day? Matt Campbell, what the heck are you doing?
And wow, a little surprised that inside the 5 you'd even take the risk. That really does not make sense.
I mean, it didn't hurt him, but welcome to dumb decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of a college head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell. Obviously, Campbell's one of the best coaches in the game. Iowa State is one of the favorites to win the Big 12 for a reason, and Iowa State has been consistently good for a while now, which, considering what life was like before Campbell got there, is super impressive. And obviously, Iowa State won the game, so this didn't end up mattering at the end of the day. Unlike the Stanford-Hawaii dumb decision with Frank Reich, which we're going to be talking about for the rest of the season as one of the most boneheaded things that coach did in 2025, this one is going to be forgotten about and is just going to be a footnote with the passage of time. But it still deserves to be dissected for how dumb it was. Just because you win the game doesn't make you immune from this segment. If I jump off a cliff and I survive, it doesn't mean that what I did wasn't stupid. And safe to say, even though Iowa State won Farmageddon, nothing about this decision at the end of the first half made any sense at all. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not calling a timeout and then ordering your return man to fair catch the ball is a really bad idea. This is a two-parter, starting with a timeout. Although the timeout is somewhat more defensible to some extent and isn't the crux of this video by any means. When you made the stop on third down, there were 49 seconds left. Let's say you call your second timeout right then and there, giving you one timeout remaining. You're getting the ball back guaranteed with roughly 44 seconds left. You have time to go down the field yourself and get some points before the halftime break and take the lead, especially if the punt by Kansas State goes into the end zone for a touchback and you get it at the 20. I get the idea of wanting to be conservative here because your offense wasn't playing the best and because the conditions were sloppy. Believe me, I understand if you just want to take it into the half. But Kansas State only had 2 timeouts left. If you tell your running back to have 2 hands on the ball and you don't fumble, you're either going into the half with a score tied at 7 because Kansas State can't stop the clock 3 times and get the ball back themselves, or you get a first down and you can run your offense and try to push it down the field. Again, with a sloppy first half, I'm not going to harp too much on this decision because I get the logic of saying after a fumble-filled half where no one really looked good offensively to just go into the half all time up and make the adjustments. At the very least, call the timeout with 20 seconds left so Kansas State can't try a field goal. Because theoretically, if you let Kansas State run the clock all the way down, they can try a long field goal or go for it without worrying about field position. Because the field position is irrelevant because there would be no time left on the clock and you wouldn't get the ball back. Or there would be time, but you only have time for a Hail Mary. But if Campbell wants to just go into the half here with the way the game is, fine. Poor timeout management with not calling it just in case of a field goal try or conversion because it seemed like a no-risk situation for you to call it there, but whatever. What truly makes no sense at all, and what I can't believe, was the decision to have a punt returner back there fair catching the ball on a punt with 9 seconds left, taking place past midfield on a rainy day where we already saw a muff punt earlier in the game. Why in the name of Ireland do you even have anyone back there? If you're Matt Campbell, if you're this guy right here, why do you have a punt returner in that spot? First off, fair catching any ball inside the 2-yard line is stupid because there's nothing good that can come of that. In the absolute best case scenario by fair catching it, you're pinned at your own 2-yard line. If you don't catch the ball and let it bounce, you could be at the 20 with breathing room, or you could be at the 1. And let's be honest, there's no real difference between the 1 and the 2, especially when compared to the 2 and the 20, because you're still backed up and have to go the length of the field. So, just in general, it makes no sense to catch the ball there. But here, you not only have a returner back there on a punt that's past midfield, so you're not going to get a return either way, so it's not like you have a returner back there on a punt from the 20-yard line where you could potentially have a punter outkick his coverage or have a line drive and the Gunners can't get down there in time. But you have him with his heels at the 5 on a punt taking place with 9 seconds left? Again, you're not getting a return on this. It just doesn't happen that way. So if you fair catch the ball, you're just taking a knee. You're not scoring any points on this drive. Regardless of where you start this drive, if your plan is to just go into the half and take a knee, which is obviously your plan, based on your lack of aggression with a timeout management on the previous play, you're not scoring any points. You'll call one play, which is a quarterback kneel, and that will be the end of that. So if you fair catch the ball here, the absolute best case scenario is you leave the drive with no points. In the worst case scenario, especially on a rainy day where we've seen a muff punt already, you muff the ball, Kansas State recovers it, and the Wildcats get to kick the field goal or call one final play before the halftime break and can not only go into the half with the lead themselves, but with a chance to double dip because they get the ball to start the second half. The best case scenario with a fair catch is no points, and the worst case scenario with a fair catch is Kansas State recovers. Compare that to the alternative of not having a returner back there like any rational head coach would do, and like the announcers were saying, because you know it's bad when the announcers are also criticizing you in real time for this. And the worst case scenario is that you get no points, but neither does Kansas State. In both options, the best case scenario is exactly the same, but one poses a significantly better worst case scenario than the other. It's like if there's a test that doesn't penalize you if you skip, but penalizes you if you answer it incorrectly. You have no idea what the question is asking you. It might as well be in a foreign language. So you have two options because you already know the best case scenario is that you don't lose points because you're not getting it right. It's not multiple choice. Option 1 is to skip the question entirely. Option 2 is to just write, "I like big butts and I cannot lie." You'd have to be crazy to choose option 2. But that's what Matt Campbell did here. If you're going to go into the half because you're scared of fumbling, as evidenced by your timeout management and your strategy, then minimize the number of touches that your team has to make on the ball, especially if it's down by your own goal line. There is no reward for doing this, none whatsoever. If you don't want to touch the ball, then newsflash, don't touch the freaking ball. After the game, no one asked Campbell about what happened at the end of the first half with his strategy, which I get, because Iowa State won the game at the end of the day, and it didn't lead to any points either way. This isn't like the Stanford reporters during Frank Reich's press conference, where I was livid about how no one could possibly ask the question. Campbell did say things about making adjustments at the half, and how the offensive line in the first half was shaky and allowed some sacks. So I guess that answers the first part of the question of why you don't want to try and score at the end of the half and attempt to go the length of the field. Again, not crazy about the timeout management, but at least I understand the conservativeness there. But it doesn't answer the second part about why you try and fair catch a punt and risk a muck from inside your own 2-yard line. It seems very contradictory to what you just did. It just gave me so many flashbacks to another overseas game, the Ravens-Titans game in London during the 2023 season, when the Titans tried fair catching a ball inside their own 5-yard line with 5 seconds left in the first half, and it resulted in a muff, and the Ravens recovered and got 3 points right before the halftime break out of it. Just dumb, careless coaching that in this case didn't backfire, but easily could have, and could have been a huge momentum swing before the halftime break for no reason whatsoever. So what did we learn from all of this? If you're going to be aggressive and want more touches with the football, then do that. If you're going to be conservative and want fewer touches with the football, then do that. But don't try and do both and do a puzzling, absolutely confusing, worst of both worlds scenario where you're being conservative and also, in a way, stupidly aggressive at the same time. If your game plan when getting the ball back is to take a knee and go into the half, then don't fair catch the ball and risk the possibility of a fumble. Don't have a guy back there. The best case scenario if you just let it bounce versus if he has someone back there, especially inside the 5, is the same. But the worst case can be extremely different and costly, especially in a top 25 matchup on a wet day like this. And just because you're in a foreign country doesn't mean that you're exempt from the situational awareness rules of American football. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name at the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.